Hey everybody, Superfly Gaming here, back for another video. In this episode we're going to be covering another episode of Spiffo School, and we're going to be having a look at a particularly good weapon that I like, the axe. So let's jump into it. As usual, we'll cover the specifics and go into details, as well as some general examples of how it works. So let's quickly jump into it. Here we go. So as you can see, there's two zombies approaching me right now. And when it's head on, in this kind of situation, with no fatigue and no other moodles affecting you, it's relatively simple to do this. Kind of straightforward. Seems good. Now let's jump into the next part. A lot of people like the axe because it's quite high powered, but you can easily get overwhelmed quite quickly. So here's an example with a few more zombies. I've got God mode on, just for demonstration purposes. So even if you're slowly backing off away from them, you can easily get swamped. Watch what happens here. One bite. Now, without God mode, that's easily an infection or death. So in this particular video, you can see that my character, now that God mode is turned off, is suffering panic. What usually happens is it makes your cone narrower, but specifically for combat, what this is going to do is reduce the weapon damage and the critical chance as well. It's also going to reduce the push knockdown chance and knockback in general. So what happens is that will affect the power of the axe. Now, usually the axe is quite a powerful weapon, but considering how much it's going to decrease it, you need to be more careful when you're attacking these guys. Now, what I'm doing here is I have got a bigger portion of zombies coming at me and I'm fatigued. Now what's going to happen with the panic, first of all, is at a mild panic, when you first get it, it's going to decrease your critical chance of a hit by about 1.3%, which isn't too significant because the critical chance, for example, on this axe is 20%, so it's only down to about 18.7. When you get a more increased panic, you get an accuracy reduction of 2.6% decreased critical chance, and the melee weapons in general, including the axe, will reduce the damage by 0.1. When you've got a strong panic, it will reduce it by 3.9% on the critical chance, and yeah, so you can understand that what's starting to happen here, as you can see in the video, combined with the fatigue, is causing quite a few issues. Probably in this situation, I would say the endurance affecting the axe is stronger than the panic. So, for example, you've got a decrease in the attack speed of the axe, about 7%, but a 50% drop in melee damage, which is substantial. I mean, not just slightly substantial, significantly substantial. And also, as you can see, I'm also bleeding because I've just been bitten or scratched. Which is also going to cause problems with the axe. So basically what I'm trying to summarize here in this whole point of this video is that you are going to get into some serious trouble with moodles and this axe. So it doesn't matter how powerful you think this axe is, it's always going to, well, pretty much mess you up, let's put it that way. Now, the axe isn't just good for chopping zombies into pieces, it's also good for chopping trees into pieces. So, as you can see in this video, I'm using the cut down tool to methodologically move between trees and chop them down. And as you can see, it has this effect. The axe is probably one of the best weapons in the game for chopping down trees as well. It damages 35 units of damage to each tree. And you don't have to use the seek tool either, you can just chop away with your regular melee action, you know, so it's effective for that as well. It does also receive damage itself over time, and you will lose quality of the weapon as you use it to cut down trees. So if you're building a base and you've got an axe and you've got quite a few logs, you might want to check the quality of the axe before you go back into battle. As an extra tip for any new viewers or new players to the game, you can use the axe to chop down logs, which you can use with a garden saw, there's two types, to create planks, which you can then use with some nails and a hammer to barricade your base. So it's worth bearing in mind if you want to create some kind of obstruction. The axe will be useful for that. Don't try and use any other tools like a machete or even a knife. They'll just take too long to cut down, and you won't have the time or energy to do it. Okay, so here we are on the Project Zomboid wiki page for the axe. Let's go through a few details. I'll read through it just so you can get some verbal articulation. We'll start off first of all by saying it has an encumbrance of 3. It's two-handed, which means obviously you can't use 2 at the same time. That would just be ridiculous. It has an attack speed of 1, which is your basic unit time duration. It has a range of 0.61 to 1.2 tiles. It damages 0.8 to 2 units of damage, which is substantial. That also means, by the way, that the percentage of damage that it's dealt will vary between that naturally. So one swing might deal 0.8 damage, another swing might deal 2 damage. It's completely randomized. You have a critical chance of 20%. What this means is, on average, basically every 1 in 5 times that you swing that axe at a zombie and it hits them, it will kill them instantly. That's what critical chance means. It has a knockback of 0.3 and a knockdown of 2. It also is capable of hitting 2 zombies with a single swing. Personally, I don't have multiple hits on for melee weapons because I just don't think it's realistic, you know, and dealing the same amount of damage, it just doesn't make sense. But it's up to you. It's your game, not mine. And it's very good for breaking down doors as well. This is a really good point, especially when you're looting out and about in town and it's hard to get a door open or a window open. You can just chop away, and you'll also need that sometimes when you encounter the random house that has a little boarded window up, or 6. You can use a crowbar for that, which is probably easier, but if you don't have one, you know, an axe is also reasonable. As we've already mentioned, it can chop down trees, 35 damage. You can use it in crafting to cut watermelon, which I think is quite funny. Here's some of the specifics down here in the code. Let's just quickly go over the materials to repair. So wood glue, which is rarer than the other 3, requires carpentry level 2 to use, but only has 2 uses. And as you can see, it has a 100% success rate with 55% of the axe repaired. So use 2 wood glue on a wood axe, it will restore it from 0 to 55%. Carrying on the same logic, duct tape 2 uses, 20% repaired, 95% success rate. Glue 2 uses, 10% repair. Adhesive tape 4 uses, 10% repair. So obviously you want to use wood glue, but as I said, it's the rarest in the game. Let's get down to the code. As you can see here, these are the files in the game. The maximum range is 1.2. The minimum angle is 0.72. This is an important part that's often overlooked. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you swing certain weapons, and if you're off by a slight degree or 2, you'll completely miss the zombie, even if the animation looks like it hit them. So the axe actually has quite a good angle, I would say, on it when swinging it. It's quite efficient. Minimum swing time 3. Again, encumbrance 3. I'm not sure what some of these are, but you can see the different categories. For example, the max hit count is 2, as we already mentioned. The maximum condition is 13, which basically states that the starting condition of the weapon at maximum condition is set to 13. Some weapons, for example, have a lower condition. Some have a higher condition. For example, the crowbar is quite sturdy. I think the crowbar is higher, but we'll have to check that. So yeah, this is just a basic description of what we've already mentioned above, but it's also useful to know from additional stats if you want to research it. So yeah, that's it, guys. Just wanted to cover a few details and go over the axe. We'll go over some more items in the future. This is my first Project Zomboid video, so hopefully we'll improve these as they go on. If I've missed anything, guys, please let me know. I'm always looking to learn and, you know, help the community as well. So thanks very much for watching, everyone.